Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am bringing you my June wrap up for the dark side of scrapbooking. I will link the original video if you would like to see what this challenge is all about, and I will tell you, buckle up because this video is definitely going to take you for a ride. June was an amazing month for me to really get started with this challenge and really learn a lot about my scrapbooking process and figuring out where the holes were in my scrapbooking process. So let's dive into the dark side of scrapbooking. Just a recap, there are 4 phases, which I'm going to walk through in this video. Phase 1 is hunt and gather. This is where we're getting all our pictures ready. Phase 2 is print, prep, and plan. We're getting our photos organized, paired up with sketches, and printed. Phase 3 is the fun part. That's where we're creating. And then phase 4 is those final touches. Alright guys, so I'm going to start with my phase 1 of hunt and gather by taking a look at my Facebook and seeing if there are any particular posts or photos that I can find here. So I thought I would show you guys how I get back to a certain date on my Facebook page. I post on Facebook so that I have kind of in the moment journaling and I can go back and look at it. So you're going to start by selecting the 3 little dots in the upper right hand corner, and you're going to find the activity log. Over on the left hand side you will click the small arrow next to your Facebook activity, and then for the date section, when you click on it, it will allow you to change the all to a certain month and year. So I'm first going to select 2019 because that's the year that I'm going to work on for this phase 1. And then I'm going to select June in my month and then save my changes. Once it reloads, I will have every post that I have replied to, commented on, actually posted on my own page. So I'm going to look through these comments and reactions and see if there is anything that I need to pull photos for. Alright guys, so I have looked through my photos, and for the month of June, I only have one set of photos that I'm actually going to document this round. I do not have a lot of photos in the month of June, and I've noticed that pattern across multiple years, mainly because it is so hot in the month of June that we don't do a whole lot. And even these past couple weekends, we tended to stay in the house and be in the air conditioning. So I wanted to walk through my process today of how I match up photos with sketches. So this is going to be phase 2 of the dark side of scrapbooking, and I will link that video below if you guys would like to check it out and follow along with me this month. Now, I won't be doing this every single month, but I did want to pair up some of the questions that I've been getting from this challenge with what my plans are. Just as a reminder, phase 2 is print, prep, and plan. So I'm going to work towards prepping these photos, and that means working through my spreadsheet, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to plan out, so selecting a sketch to match up with the photos that I have selected, and then I'm going to send these photos to be printed. These are the photos that I'm going to be printing for this particular layout. What I'm going to be documenting in this layout is the fact that I moved into this house. These photos were taken because I am a renter and I want to ensure that I document how the home looks when I move in. But 5 years later, and I'm still here, I thought that it would be a good idea to document the photos of the house, obviously, but there's a story behind this. This challenge, as well as some other layouts that I've done recently, has kind of shifted my way of thinking about documenting my photos. Of course, I am going to continue to document Easter because that is absolutely my favorite holiday to document. I'm also going to document birthdays and other events, of course, for my Disney things, but I also want to pull in more substantial type layouts that are more story driven. So while these photos may not look very impressive, they are definitely going to have a very heartfelt story behind them. I've already picked out the sketch, and normally what I do is I will pull up my Google Drive on my phone or on my iPad, and depending on what I'm in the mood for, whether it's a scrapbook generation sketch or a page map sketch, I'm just gonna scroll through it. And I've been doing a lot of Scrapbook Generation sketches lately. So tonight I was just like, I want to look through page maps and see what I can find. I pulled this sketch from October of 2014. I'm going to use this sketch here, and right away I will tell you that my photos don't fit this sketch. There are 11 photos, but I really want to showcase the outside of the house as one of my main photos, and I want that photo to be on the right-hand side. When I was working through it, my thought process was that the left-hand side would focus on the bedrooms, and then the right-hand side would focus on the outside of the house, as well as the common areas, including the living room, kitchen, and entryway. So now I'm going to work through the photos themselves, and I will come back once I have all that planned and walk you through my thought process on that. All right, guys, so I have planned out this sketch. What I did was use Canva. I imported the photo of the sketch into Canva, and then having my dual screens, I looked through the photos and made a decision as to where I wanted to place the photos. And then I just put text boxes in the photo section to document where I wanted them. So up at the very top, I'm going to have the master bedroom, then the master bath, and then instead of this photo here, I'm going to use a sticker from the sticker sheet. I was trying to find a 3x4 card, but I couldn't find one that would match with this collection. And I think that I'm actually going to need a little bit more space because I think I'm going to make this photos a little bit larger. So I'll be making that square a little smaller. So I have a home sweet home sticker there. Then I have my 2 scrap room photos and then the guest room. And then over on the right hand side, I'm going to have the outside of the house photo, and then the living area. I have 3 of those, and then the kitchen. And then I do have an entryway photo, and I'm going to try to stick it right here. And I think it'll be okay. I might have to move the kitchen photo up a little bit. I'll finagle it a lot when I get into the actual layout, because this photo here is going to be a 6x4. So that is the landscape mode. So that's going to give me a little bit of extra room here, and I might have to move it down. Also in the Canva app, I went ahead and sized my photos down to 2x3 to fit with the sketch itself. I do have a video on my channel explaining how to do all of this, as well as the template for this particular design, so you don't have to create the template itself. It's just dragging and dropping it into Canva, and I will link that below and as well as at the end of the video. When I'm doing mine, I go ahead and put the 4 photos that I need. If I need to make additional prints, I just select the duplicate page. That will duplicate the page, and then I can drop my photos into it as well. So I have 2 photo collages that are completely done, and I have 1 photo collage that just has 1 photo. Sometimes I'll print it out and with just the 1 photo. Sometimes if I'm printing multiple photos out, I will wait until I fill up that particular template and then print it out. It just all depends. This is the only layout that I'm doing right now, and I'm going to send it to Walmart to be printed because I want to get this phase done. After I figured everything out, I went into my template for my scrapbook plans, and I wrote the date. I moved into my place. That's the event I'm going to scrap. This is my layout, and I basically typed out what you see. I also did put an image over here just because this one's a little more complicated. Usually I don't do this, but I think maybe it might be a little complicated. So I did write left side from top to bottom, and then wrote the photos, and then right side left to right and wrote the photos as well. And then I said below the kitchen, add another photo, which is the entryway. So I do have a total of 11 photos. I'm going to use Simple Stories Domestic Bliss as my collection. And then I have my sketch here of page maps, October 2014, as well as the sketch itself. And then that is phase 2 of the dark side. For this particular month of June 2019, I only needed 1 layout that had not been completed. I do have another layout here. I actually pulled this post from my mom. I haven't decided how I'm going to do these things. My mom and I both post on Facebook funny things that Eli has said, and I don't have any photos for this particular event, but it is a cute little story, so I have it here because I know that I want to do something with it, but I don't know what just yet, and I don't want to lose the research that I did to find this. So I just went ahead and copied the post from my mom and put it in here, and I will figure out what to do with it later. So it is here. I am not going to create a layout. I don't have photos for it. I don't know if I'm just going to do like a photo book where I'm just like printing out just the sayings. and maybe like a picture of a lawnmower here because that's what that story is about. I haven't really thought through that process at all, but that was the only other story that I found in June of 2019 that I needed to document. I do have layouts created. I have 2 photos from a arcade that we went to on June 15th, and then I also have on June 23rd Eli eating ice cream, and that actually needs to be moved up. But those were the only 3 layouts that were already completed, so I didn't need to do those as well. So that's a wrap for phase 2. Okay guys, from the phase 1 of Hunt and Gather, I was able to locate 3 layouts that I had completed for the month of June in 2019. And I recently saw a post about how people were interested in seeing more of layout shares. And so I thought I would include that in this phase 3 part of Create. Because I only created 1 layout, and I am going to show a little bit of that process here in a moment, I wanted to kind of bulk up phase 3 a little bit with things that I've created in the past. For this particular layout, I do have a process video, so I will make sure that I link it for you. Looking back on this layout, it is super, super busy. I think that I struggle with the balance between A sides and B sides. I feel like I have come a long way, but this is one of those layouts where I think that it's not one of my favorites. I love the fact that I was able to get 7 photos on a layout, and these are pretty large size photos. These look like 3x3 photos. These are definitely 4x6 that I may have cut down a little bit, and then this one's a 4x4. So 7 photos with the smallest being 3x3 is a lot of photos on a layout. So I do enjoy that aspect of it. I'm wondering if I should recreate this layout, not these photos, like obviously do a completely different layout, but almost kind of scrap lift myself using the same amount of photos and see if I like the layout better. Because for this one, like this paper right here with the diamonds on it, way too busy to be a massive background paper. And then these red strips, I feel like they're way too large. I think they're a 1/2 inch probably, and they probably should have been more like a 1/4 inch. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this layout? And again, I will link the process video for you. This next layout, wow. I think that is the only word that I have for this. I know that I created this layout as a challenge for scrapbook generation. I'm not exactly sure what the challenge was. I do have a process video for this one, so I will link it for you. But wow, just wow. It is so, so busy. It is not my style at all. It does have a ton of photos. So we have 6 photos over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photos over here. So we've got 11 photos on this layout, but just wow. Just wow. I think that there's no separation in the photos. The photos are really dark because they're inside of an arcade. Lots of things that I could say about this layout, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. The last layout that was completed for June of 2019 is of the boys enjoying some ice cream during the summer. It looks like maybe the ice cream truck had visited us. It's been a while. Let's see what the journaling says. Yep, exactly. They heard the ice cream truck and was able to get us to buy them one. This layout I know I completed as a design team challenge. I'm not exactly sure which design team it was. I know I have a process video for this one as well. Again, this one goes back to, it's super busy. I used 2 A-side papers here, and I did ink the edges, so there is some separation between these, but I definitely would have done something completely different now. My tastes have changed quite a bit in that break that I took. And I feel like even if I was to do a layout that was similar to this, where I had the 4 photos or even a card on this side with the 2 photos on this side, I would have done something completely different with the background papers. Even in using like this yellow gingham paper more as the background here, and then having the ice cream paper here and here would be my immediate thought as to how I would do it differently. This was my process and my style at that time, and I think that our processes and our styles change over time, and it's nice to be able to look back through our albums and see exactly what we were really into at that moment. I really enjoyed looking back on these 3 layouts and reminiscing on what my style was like back then. So now let's talk a little bit about the layout that I created for phase 3. Remember, phase 3 is all about creating. This is the time when we're rounding up our photos and our scrapbooking supplies and actually completing the really enjoyable part of scrapbooking. This is where we have the ability to let our creativity run wild. And I definitely did that with this particular layout. I'm not going to show you the full process video for this particular layout because it will be up on my channel shortly. In this layout, I used Simple Stories Domestic Bliss. It's an older collection, but there are so many beautiful things in this paper collection. I was actually given this collection because at one of the crops that I attend, people bring in older supplies that they no longer want, and this was a part of that. As I was working through this collection, there's lots of bits and pieces of it that has really sparked my creativity in regards to figuring out how I can use this collection for other layouts. It is geared more towards like day in the life, home life type layouts, but the colors are a chef kiss. Beautiful colors. I love this gingham paper. I love like the pinks and the navy blues and all of the other colors that make up this collection. This is a layout that I probably wouldn't have scrapbooked if it wasn't for this particular challenge. I'm really enjoying this challenge and looking back on some photos that may not have seen the light of day had it not been for this challenge, and really going back and looking through all the different places that I store my photos. So stay tuned for the process video on this particular layout. It will be on my channel very, very soon. Phase 4 is the finishing touches. This is the final stage of our process. It's time to put all of those layouts away. But before we do that, we want to make sure that our layouts are truly ready for our albums. So I went through all of the layouts that I have stacked up and put the finishing touches on them. Now my phase 4 may look very different than yours because I'm a content creator. My layouts can't go into the albums right away. I have to keep them out in case I need additional photos or there's questions that are asked about my layouts once the video goes up. Sometimes I'm creating layouts a month or even 6 weeks in advance. In preparation for this challenge, I put away a massive stack of layouts, and I'll link that video here. When I was putting away those layouts, I realized that there were some layouts that had the wrong date and some that were missing journaling. So those are the layouts that I'm going to be putting the finishing touches on in this phase 4. The first layout that I worked on went up on my channel not that long ago, but I quickly realized that the stitching was not correct. I had stitched the inner side of the left side of the layout and I had stitched the outer side of the right hand side of the layout. So I spent some time making sure that all of the stitching was correct so I could put this particular layout away. I left a majority of this in so that you can see that sometimes we just have to go back and add to our layouts. Here you can see I have poked the holes in this layout and I'm starting to work through the stitching. The next set of layouts that I worked on were layouts that had the wrong date. I love this die from Hero Arts and will continue to use it for quite a while on my journaling, but there are some drawbacks to it, and putting the wrong date on the wrong layout is one of those. You may have noticed my phone in the frame, and I do use my phone to refer back to my Google Sheet where I create the journaling strips. I use that reference to ensure that I have the correct date, and I'm not really sure how I messed this up, especially since these two layouts were from totally different years, one being in 2019 and one being in 2022. And the subjects in the layouts are completely different. If I was truly paying attention at the time that I was putting the layouts together, I would have caught it. But that's what phase 4 is all about. Catching those phases that you didn't the first time around and making sure that they are truly done, done, done. That's something that Sue said in a Zoom meeting that we had to wrap up the month of June. And I love that. The done, done, done process of making sure that it truly is ready for our scrapbook albums. This particular layout I had created a long time ago. And I know that because the other side of the layout has some stitching on it. And I know that I used that for a sketch challenge. Once I corrected the layouts that had the wrong date, Then I started to work through the layouts that I had created in the month of June, completing the journaling for them. Some of these layouts are already up on my channel and some of them are not. As a content creator, there are things that happen behind the scenes that you as a viewer may never realize unless I do something like this. And so I'm actually enjoying this process not only for the challenge of getting these layouts done and making sure that my albums don't have any holes in them. I'm also enjoying the ability to be able to share some of the behind the scenes with you guys. I wanted to remind you guys that I do have Instagram. Over on Instagram is where I post life behind layouts. So you're going to get sneak peeks of the layouts that I'm currently working on. And it may be a month before you see that process video up on the YouTube channel. So if you like to have that information of the behind the scenes, make sure that you're following me over on Instagram. This particular layout isn't scheduled to go up until like the middle of July. So you guys get a early sneak peek for this one. I also recently did a process video where I talked about my journaling strip die, and I go into detail about the 3 ways that you can add your journaling strips. You may have noticed that I used foam strips on the previous layout. This particular layout, I'm stacking 2 other pieces of journaling strips, and that is my preferred method. Or you could lay the journaling strips flat to the layout. If you want more details on the journaling strip, I will link it here so that you can go check it out. This particular layout is by far the favorite layout that I have made this year. I am in love with this layout to the point that I want to use 2x2 squares on a ton more layouts. I just spent yesterday, which was the last day of June, planning out my layouts for July. Now, these layouts may not make it to my channel until August or even September, but I always spend the end of the month planning on what I'm going to work on for the next month. I first make sure that my commitments are taken care of, which are the 2 hops that I'm a part of. And then I'm also looking for holidays, like this particular layout that's going to go up on the 4th of July. I plan those out a month in advance so that I can have a layout go up on that particular holiday. All of my layouts are planned using my spreadsheet. I went into great detail of that spreadsheet in the intro video, which I will link here. Phase 4 is probably the most tedious for me. It's the phase that I dislike the most, but I know that it is something that has to be done, and having this dark side challenge is pushing me into getting them done whether I like it or not. Sometimes I also like to have my dates added with just a roller date stamp. When I'm putting the date on, I usually tend to stick to 3 colors: black, brown, and a gray color. I actually just had to purchase a new roller date stamp on Amazon because my roller date stamp ended in 2023. So as I'm starting to work into 2024, I needed a new roller date stamp. Luckily, they are good for about 10 years, so I should be set for quite a while. After looking at the dates, I realized that I didn't really want the actual date of these particular photos. I just wanted the year and the month. I pulled out these doodle bugs that I think are called Tiny Type and just used the circle ones to put the year and month. For this particular layout, obviously it's the 4th of July, so I just wanted to add the year. So I just pulled out the doodlebug stickers and I just used the square ones on this layout. And I continued this process again and again and again until I have all of the dates correct on my layout. Sometimes I'm using those roller date stamps, and sometimes I use the stickers with the month and year. So now I've gotten all of the journaling and dates and finishing touches completed for my layouts. I have no idea how this stack got so large. I put a ton of layouts away just last month, and here I am putting a ton more away. I did have to pull some layouts out of my albums for a class that I taught in the month of June, in which I was required to take those layouts with me. So I do have the excuse, but that's only about 4 layouts. I did the same process as I did last month, where I first separate the layouts into piles based on years. Most of my layouts are stored in 2 albums by year. So I have 2 albums for 2018 and 2 albums for 2019, and so on and so forth. My albums tend to go from January to June and then July to December, so it makes it very easy to figure out which layouts go in which albums once I have them stacked by years. Now you may notice that I have a post-it over to the left. I decided this time I was going to keep track of how many layouts I put away. I had a total of 29 double page layouts and 4 single page layouts. For me, that calculates into 33 layouts. Now I know some people count by pages, and that number is a total of 62 pages. That's 58 pages included in my doubles, and then the 4 singles. Now, of course, I didn't complete all of those layouts in the month of June, and I've actually decided to start keeping track of how many layouts I complete each month. I was keeping track by the amount of layouts that I was uploading, but that quickly gets out of control because I don't always create layouts in the same month. Nicole has created a tracker that she is using to keep track of her layouts in whatever stage that they're in. Going back to being content creators, there's additional things that we have to do that a normal person wouldn't have to do. Uploading them to online galleries is one of those things. I've asked Nicole to provide me with her tracker so that I can incorporate it into my spreadsheet and make it work for me. I post my layouts when they go live on my channel in several different Facebook groups just to encourage people to go check out my YouTube channel. I post all of my layouts on scrapbook.com. A lot of people don't realize that if you go to a particular product on scrapbook.com, like the Doodlebug Happy Healing collection, which I'm currently loving, if you scroll down, there's a section that has projects. Anyone can upload projects to scrapbook.com. Obviously, you have to create an account, but you can see that one of my layouts is listed there. So if you need ideas for a particular item that you have purchased, or if you're trying to get ideas for a particular collection, the project section at scrapbook.com is a great way to go find those. So part of my phase 4 is making sure that my layouts are posted on scrapbook.com so that I can get additional views on my layouts. I also point back to my YouTube channel in hopes of getting additional views on my channel. At this point, I'm going to put in another plug. I know that I've mentioned it a couple times, and I always feel a little yuck by mentioning this. I do have affiliate links listed in every single one of my videos for scrapbook.com and a cherry on top, and I've also applied for a couple more. These affiliate links are no cost to you, but I get a commission for all of your purchases. If you're enjoying my content and you want to support me, that's the perfect way to do it. If you're already going to purchase items from scrapbook.com or a cherry on top, if you can click on my links listed in every single one of my videos, I would greatly appreciate it. All of the money that I receive from those go back into scrapbooking because we all know that this hobby is definitely not a cheap one. So now that the ick part is over, back to putting layouts away. If you watched my intro video to the dark side, you may remember that I talked about needing to pick up additional albums. I did go to Hobby Lobby and they had a sale on their albums. I tend to pick up Hobby Lobby albums. I like my albums to be different. I know that some people like uniformity and having all of the same albums, which that goes back to you do you. I like mine to be separated in the sense of I purchase 2 albums per year and those 2 albums match, but they don't match the other albums. The one that I picked out for 2024 is a wood grain and it has the word love on the front of it. After I got all of the layouts put away in my yearly family albums, I pulled out my Disney albums and I started to add the layouts to that album. I do have a playlist on my channel for all of my Disney layouts, so if you are looking for Disney inspiration, I will link that here. And then that is it for this wrap up of June Dark Side. And of course, we're going to hit repeat for another round of fun. I've already started with the July 2019 Dark Side Challenge, and I will tell you that I got off so easy in the month of June. There are major pictures missing, and it is going to be a hot, hot mess this month. For everyone who stayed along for this almost 30-minute video, I just want to say thank you. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend it with me. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more inspiration for the Dark Side Challenge, for Disney layouts, or double page layouts, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.